You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Every weeknight, it's Buzz After Dark.
You like that?
With Eric Steele.
Hang out with me Monday through Friday from 7 to midnight for the Buzz After Dark. It's kind of like the Titanic, except instead of 3 hours to sink, it takes 5 hours.
Freaks come out at night, that's for sure.
Welcome to the night.
The Buzz After Dark. After Dark.
All night long.
Awesome tunes, clothing optional.
Hope you enjoyed the ride.
Weeknight 7 to midnight on 102.9 The Buzz. Nashville's Rock Station.
Night Demon fans and friends, we are calling upon you to get Welcome to the Night added to rotation on 102.9 The Buzz. Text the Buzz hotline at area code 615-399-1029 to request Night Demon's Welcome to the Night. That's area code 615-399-1029. You know what to do.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt. On August 4th, 2018, Night Demon played the world's biggest gathering of metal fans, Wacken Open Air. Last week in part 1, we discussed the lead up to the festival, the Wacken atmosphere, and the backstage from a band's perspective, and an incident with German police that almost derailed their appearance at Wacken Open Air. In this episode, we'll dive into the set list and their performance and hear about the nerve-wracking onstage incident that almost ruined the entire Night Demon Wacken set. This is the story of Night Demon at Wacken, Part 2. So August 4th, 2018, Night Demon are preparing for their set at Wacken Open Air. And a huge festival like this runs like a well-oiled machine, and Night Demon only has 45 minutes to unleash their set. So how do they pick a set list for that huge of a crowd of festival goers, especially considering the tight timelines involved?
You know, we had to pick an abbreviated set, obviously, to play the festival. Headlining sets, you know, we can do whatever we want. It's always difficult to pick a shorter set when you're opening for a band or when you're playing a festival slot. I mean, most of the Euro festivals are cool because you get like 45 to an hour sometimes. But when picking the set, I would say that there's certain songs that will always kind of be in there, which I guess are power hitter singles or the songs we're known for. You'll always hear The Chalice. You'll always hear Night Demon. You're always going to hear Screams in the Night. Everything else kind of varies. I mean, Welcome to the Night, you would always hear that, especially on the Darkness Remains touring cycle. Moving forward, I think you'd still hear it, but I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be the first song of the set. Full Speed Ahead, it's short enough. I think we play that one always. Howling Man. I would say those are the songs that you're always going to hear, but who knows? I mean, Night Demon may end up on a tour where we have a 30-minute support slot. And, you know, if we have a new record's worth of songs, I mean, we're going to want to showcase those. So it's tough. And I think that's the story with every band. As the discography grows, you always have a tough time doing that. And that's why certain bands that I love that have just huge discographies, it's kind of tough. Because it's tough for those bands because they write a new record. You know, if they're on record number 10 or whatever, they have to play the classics. They have to play the songs that the band was built on live. So they may play just a couple, 3 songs off of a new record. And then on record number 11, record number 10, it's like sometimes it just never existed. And I think that's why Night Demon's always been a quality over quantity band. And we've just really focused on when we do write music and when we do release it, that it's something that we're proud of and that we're going to be proud of forever, really. And that we don't need more songs. We just need better songs. And also our songs are shorter, which is really nice because I know some bands that have gone out to play Wacken and they've only been able to play 5 songs because of the length of their songs. So thankfully, we do not have that problem.
Picking a set list for the shorter sets, yeah, it's just, again, just go with the ones that we know work, you know? I think it's kind of like we want to give the crowd a nice sampling of everything that we do, you know? A lot of times we stick to the more harder. I mean, I guess it's, you know, we also change it depending on the festival. You know, we've played festivals that are just, it's all like black metal and thrash bands and stuff. So if like when we're playing something like that, you know, we'll do the more faster songs. We'll do a more faster set, you know. When it's more of a rock crowd, I guess, you know, we'll play the Save Me Nows or the Masterminds or, you know, Stranger in the Room, kind of something a little slower and rocking and just to really kind of grab them, you know, something catchier and just something fast and thrashy. You know, we just kind of gauge it on how we feel what type of crowd it's going to be.
That's something that we, you know, all just sit down and kind of talk about. I know Jarvis puts more time into it than Armand and I, just because of his vocals, and he wants to balance the set so that we're playing, you know, all the stuff people want to hear. You can't please everybody, but at that time, you know, we were playing Darkness Remains stuff pretty heavy, but we were still mixing in a good amount of Curse of the Damned. So when we're thinking about doing this, we're thinking about the whole thing and giving a nice balance of what we have to offer. And, you know, we want people to go home happy, so we really think about that, and we want the set to flow. And we don't want any kind of downtime or boring time. You know, we don't want people to get bored. I think when people watch Night Demon, they don't have a chance to get bored because we don't really bullshit. You know, we play so many songs in a short amount of time because our songs aren't very long to begin with, but we just blast them out. We just play song after song after song after song without any stopping. The only time I get a chance to have a breather is when we're playing a sample, you know, an intro sample, or Jarvis takes a minute to talk to the crowd. So usually during a set, I have just enough time to wipe my hands and my face, and that's about it. And then it's blast off. Here we go.
So if you've seen Night Demon, then you know their set is all about delivering the metal with no banter, no bullshit. It's just like a relentless onslaught. So if you've seen Night Demon live, you know they're very engaging with the audience. They like to get in your face and really deliver. So how does a bigger festival like this factor into being able to connect with the crowd? Is there pressure to make that connection when the crowd is so big?
There's a sort of expectation when people hear about Night Demon and they ask themselves, you know, and their friends, you know, are these guys the real deal? And if they're told we are, they want to see it for themselves. So, Yeah, I guess there is a little bit of a pressure to win people over, but we're going to do what we want to do. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, then go pound sand. It doesn't matter. We're there to kick ass, and that's exactly what we're going to do, whether there's 5 people or 10,000. But I think that since the label was there was a little bit of pressure to win them over, at least for me personally. It's a dream of mine to be signed to a record label like that and to be playing a festival like that. So I think the pressure is just in the sense of like, here we are, this is it, and don't fuck up. You waited your whole life for this opportunity and you make the best of it. So I think we all kind of put pressure on ourselves to really go out there and just destroy the place. I know I've said this before in past podcasts as well, is we're there to annihilate the stage. We don't care if you're our friends or not. You know, we're not there to sugarcoat anything. We want to fuck shit up. So I think that's the only amount of pressure that we have is on ourselves to perform no matter what.
It's the festival that everybody talks about. Everybody knows this fest. It's been around since, I think, 1990 was the first time they did that festival. So it's one of the longest running and just like, you know, one of the most important ones if you're a heavy metal rock band. So, I mean, as far as like stage setup and technical stuff, the crowd, it's kind of similar to some of the bigger ones we've played before. But I think actually this one, the stage, you know, I think that was the biggest gap that we've ever had between the stage and the crowd, which is something that I'm not really a fan of, you know. We like to be up in front of people's faces and, you know, it really helps kind of us to get the energy off the crowd, you know, when they're that close to you. But in these big stages and all that, you know, the bigger the stage, the further back the crowd is. So there's definitely a little bit of a disconnect there, which I could take or leave, you know?
As much as there's all this energy of all these people, there is a sense of distance when they are so far away from the stage because there's this big barricade. The stage is up so high, and then there's a barricade that's like, I don't know, 30, 40 feet away from the stage. It's pretty insane. Just so if you're in the front row, you can see on the stage, because if you're too close, the stage is too high, you can't see. So there is a distance, and there is a tad of a disconnect, maybe. I don't know. I'm curious to hear what Jarvis and Armand have to say about that. I'm more in the back, and I'm more just holding it down. I'm focusing on what I'm doing. I'm not interacting with the crowd as much as those guys are, because they're in the front and they're moving around and they're making eye contact, that kind of thing. But I think there probably is a little bit of a disconnect because of that distance. I don't think it impacts our performance at all, but there is a difference from when we're in a small club or a little bar and the audience is on the stage, you know, sweating on the guys' pedal boards and, you know, ripping the set list. And, you know, there's this like more of like an anarchy sense when you're in like a small club like that. It's like no holds barred, and people are like getting plowed into each other because it's just so tight, and it's just this frenetic kind of thing going on. And I think at the bigger shows, you don't really get that so much unless you're like the headliner, maybe. I don't know. I haven't headlined any festivals and played in front of like, you know, insane crowds that are there for you, that like Metallica or something like that, you know. I think that the bigger shows for them, they create kind of that smaller venue sense. I don't know. But I don't really feel like there's a big difference or anything like that when the audience is a little bit farther away. I just love to see people there. And obviously it's a different view when you're on the stage, when you're looking at the crowd and you're like, yeah, there's people here for sure. But when you're in the audience and you're looking on the stage and you see all the people around, it's impressive. There's a ton of people there, and it's a sea of people, and it's crazy. But when you're on stage, it doesn't look quite as insane all the time. I don't know. It's like a weird perception thing.
Metal Blade Records presents the return of heavy metal legends Armored Saint with their 8th full-length album, Punching the Sky. A diverse, attitude-drenched collection, it's everything the band's faithful have come to expect from them while pushing their signature sound forward. Featuring 11 hard-hitting tracks, available on double LP and Digipack CD. Right now, Metal Blade Records is giving all Night Demon Heavy Metal podcast listeners a 15% store-wide discount on all Metal Blade releases and merchandise, including this masterpiece from Armored Saint. Go to indiemerch.com/Metal Records and enter promo code NDPodcast at checkout. This store is loaded with tons of swag from some of the best bands in metal, like Midnight, Sirith Ungol, Merciful Fate, Angel Witch, Satan, and of course, the mighty Armored Saint. That's indiemerch.com/Metal Records, promo code NDPodcast. So march like a saint and take the last train home. Can you deliver?
What is up, Night Demon Heavy Metal podcast listeners? This is your resident motor mouth, Jarvis Leatherby, telling you about something very, very special here. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This is a book, guys. That's right. We all know Decibel Magazine as the #1 metal magazine in North America for many years running. But you know what? They also have a fucking killer book series, okay? I want to tell you about this. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This limited edition hardcover includes 25 Hall of Fame stories from Decibel's revered monthly series of artist interviews on the making of their classic extreme music albums. Featured in this book are stories behind classic albums such as Stained Class by Judas Priest, apocalyptic raids from our good buddy Tom Warrior's Hellhammer, Pleasure to Kill from Teutonic German terror creator, Court in the Act from the legendary new wave of British heavy metal gods, Satan, and of course, Abigail from the legendary King Diamond. And last but not least, Night Demon's personal favorite, Heartwork from the only other band from Liverpool, Carcass. So guys, please head on over right now to store.decibelmagazine.com and grab a copy to read the definite stories of heavy metal's definitive albums. Put in the promo code Night Demon upon checkout to receive 10% off. That's Night Demon, one word, all capital letters. Get your 10%, store.decibelmagazine.com. While you're there, guys, go ahead and grab a subscription of the Mag 2. They've got a great vinyl flexi series. Do yourselves a favor here. Get on the level. Store.decibelmagazine.com. Promo code Night Demon. See ya.
So the guys show up at Wacken to the grounds, ready to play. Not the main stage like they were thinking, but an alternate stage. And they're a little disappointed at first until they hear the details. Here's Peter Manderfeld, huge German Night Demon fan and brother of Marco, who you heard from last episode.
The Night Demon show at the Wacken Open Air Festival in 2018 is definitely the biggest Night Demon show I've seen so far. It was huge, which is funny because I remember they played on the Saturday of the Wacken Open Air Festival, and 3 days before they did a show in the Bastard Club in Osnabrück, and we catched that show as well. And after the concert in Osnabrück, we had the chance to have some beers with the guys, and we were talking about the upcoming festival. And Jarvis was like, man, we are just playing the tent. And he sounded quite disappointed, maybe because tent sounds rather small.
To give you an idea, the main stage at Wacken is 2 humongous stages that are side by side in the big open field. Next to those stages is another huge stage by itself in the field next to it. And on the opposite side, they have a huge tent with 2 big stages in it. So when I was first told that we were playing in the tent, I was a little disappointed, to be honest, because all I had ever really known from Wacken was that huge main stage, those 2 stages there in the main area. And I was like, look, I don't give a shit if we have to play at 10 a.m. To play on that stage, I mean, to me, that's legitimately playing the festival.
But we immediately told the guys that the tent is one of the coolest stages you can play at Wacken, in our opinion. And it's crazy huge. You can place a football field in there. It's big like an arena.
But much to my surprise, I was very, very wrong about that. The 10th stage is much larger than I thought. I've never seen a tent this big. I've been to like circuses and have never seen a tent this big. This thing was fucking huge. I don't even like calling it a tent, but I mean, I'll just say that somebody told me who worked at the festival that during Night Demon set there was 10,000 people in this tent. So that'll give you a good gauge of how large this tent really is. Upon arriving the day that we played, that's what was really nerve-wracking to me, because we were playing somewhat early in the day. I can't remember the time, but I want to say that it was between noon and 3 p.m., something like that. It couldn't have been later than that. And we had hit some traffic on the way. And if anybody's ever hit German traffic, it fucking sucks, because they don't believe in emergency lanes, or they don't have a shoulder to pull off on. And most of the highways on the Autobahn are just 2 lanes. So if somebody gets into a car accident, traffic is just stopped, and it can be stopped for hours. So we were a little bit late already. I was a little bit nervous. We really didn't know where to go, even though we were there the night before. We just didn't know where to park and who to talk to and all this stuff. And the backstage situation wasn't quite explained to us. So anyway, we ended up getting there and figuring out where to go finally after driving around for a while. And we pulled up to the backstage. So we had a lot of our own gear. We have gear that lives out in Europe. So we combined that with some of their backline that they had offered to kind of create the ultimate Night Demon stage, with 4 4x12 cabinets on each side and a double bass kit for Dustin. We really wanted to look back on it and in retrospect and go, hey, that's what the Night Demon stage looked like. And at a festival like that, on that size, we need to represent that. So I'm glad that we had the discipline and took the time to get there as early as we could and really set that up. And the cool thing about it, it's like when a band is done at Wacken, I mean, all the gear leaves the stage and a whole new set of gear comes on. And there's a lot of crew there, so we do it really quick. Their crew worked really well with ours, so that was pretty seamless. I felt pretty good about it. My nerves weren't through the roof until our intro tape came on. When it was time to actually get on stage, that's when the nerves started to go. But more than anything, I think I was just really excited. I wasn't fearful, and I think the guys were really excited too. And we were a well-oiled machine by that time of year, and it was kind of like the end of our European trip too. So we really wanted to just slam it home, and we were just excited to go out there and do it. You know, I mean, that's all you got to do. You just got to go out and work, and you're going to entertain somebody, right? So well, I kind of peeked out a little before the intro tape ended for Welcome to the Night, and I was just floored by how many people they were already in there. It's not like they were just trickling in to see what was happening. They were in there, and there were so many Night Demon shirts out there. It was just insane.
So going into the show, you know, it's a no pressure situation. And it's not the festival that you want to go up there and lay an egg. And I think a lot of people wanted to see what and who we are as a band in the scene. You know, people hear about Night Demon and they want to say, you know, are they really the real deal? So there was a lot of new faces, but a lot of Night Demon faithful were there with their battle vests on and all their Night Demon colors. And you could also see how many people, you know, it was probably their first time seeing us. So it was a great stage to be on, and I think we were on the perfect stage to showcase what we do at that point in time.
Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Hey guys, Jarvis jumping in here. I want to tell you about Shadow Kingdom Records. Shadow Kingdom was the first domestic label to release Night Demon on CD. They put out the EP in 2013, and they also released the vinyl version of Live Darkness. Listen, you guys need to get your ass to the Shadow Kingdom Records store, okay? Right now, they're offering 10% off for all Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Just go to the website, put in the code NIGHTDEMON10. That's Night Demon 10, all capital letters, Night Demon 10. No spaces. Put that promo code in upon checkout to get 10% off. Right now, guys, they have the Bloodstar 7-inch, which has sold over 1,500 copies, and these guys cannot hold on to it. So this next pressing, you want to get that before it goes out, okay? Also, SKR Compilation Volume 1. Guys, this is free on Bandcamp. They're giving it away for free. So not only are you going to go to shadowkingdomrecords.com and put in the code, all capital letters, no spaces, NightDemon10 upon checkout, you're also going to go to their Bandcamp site and get this compilation for free. You're going to hear tons of fantastic fucking heavy metal. If you love us, you're going to love this label. Check it out, shadowkingdomrecords.com. Put in the promo code NIGHTDEMON10 and receive 10% off of your entire order. Do it.
think I've got a little too excited there because I came out with 100% energy. And I've done that many times at shows. That's kind of my goal, but really it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you have to remember that. I remember somebody telling me that they did a study on the runner Carl Lewis, who had, won all these gold medals and who had beat out the competition year by year. And what they noticed about him is that he pretty much ran at like 75, 80% the entire time. And they would look at film and they would track it. And he, near the finish line, he looked the exact same that he did in the middle of the race, had the same pace, the same cadence, and same at the beginning of the race. And, so a lot of times on stage, if you come out at 100%, you burn out really quick. And with Night Demon, obviously, we have no stops in the set. The only breaks we have ever are if we do a sample, but that didn't come in this show until Howling Man, which I believe was track 4 of the set. So, plus, we come out with a lot of energy playing the faster songs first, Welcome to the Night, Hologram, Full Speed Ahead. So that break during Howling Man was a really nice thing to have. And I really had to catch my breath and just kind of give myself a little pep talk in the head and say, look, don't lower the intensity with your delivery, but just feel it a little bit more and go at a pace that's necessary. And that helped me a lot to talk myself down like that. we would have kept going, or if I would have kept going the way I was those first 3 songs, I would have burned out and not have, I just wouldn't have had enough to finish the set in stride.
Saturday night, get your tickets to the show. It's been one hell of a week. Your mind maneuvers low. Stand tall, suck it up, don't let the man get you down. Fight back, have no fear, you're the toughest one around. When your blood is pumping hot, and you're feeling like your heart's on overdrive. Set the stage and your life begins. Fuck it! You can hear the thunder roll. You can feel the metal heat. Grab your shit. Now it's time to hit the road. Another minute here. You're going to explode. Stand tall, suck it up, don't let the man get you down. Fight back, I don't feel you're the toughest one around. When your blood is pumping hot, and you're feeling like your heart's on overdrive. Set the stage and your life begins. You can hear the thunder roll. You can feel the
It was a great show with a ton of energy from the band. The audience was very attentive, but they were rocking out. You know, they don't have to move around and thrash around and mosh. We don't have crowds that mosh, which I think is really cool. Our fans like to headbang and watch the show. They watch our performance. I really like that about our fans and the traditional metal scene. The crowds in the traditional metal scenes, they all watch the shows. They're there to appreciate the music and really soak the show in.
stranger in the room. You feel the chill in the night.
like I said, we don't really stop in between songs. You know, it's like a breath, and then boom, we're into the next thing. It's kind of a Ramones, kind of like how the Ramones would do their sets. You know, they just no stops, no talking, no bullshit. Just go through the whole fucking thing. You know.
Screams in! Screams in! Screams in the night!
Hey guys, Nesbitt here. If you would like to support Night Demon and this podcast, the best way to do it is to become a Night Demon subscriber. Not only will you be doing your part to support a true heavy metal band out there really living it, you'll also gain access to a ton of extras. Bonus audio content, a subscriber-only merch store with rare items from the band's archives. You can stream never-before-heard demos and unearth live concerts from the live vaults. Communicate with the other Night Demon diehards on an exclusive subscriber forum, and gain early access to all press releases, album pre-orders, new merchandise, and a ton more. And another thing that I think is pretty cool is Night Demon will be donating 10% of every subscription fee to the Metal Cares Foundation, which is a charitable fund the band started in 2014 to aid those in our metal community. So head over to nightdemon.net/subscriber and join us as we make heavy metal history together as one. And on a side note, I'll personally think you're a grade A badass.
So I think that's kind of what sticks out most in my mind about that show being important was, I don't want to say impressing people, but making sure that we let them know that we're the real deal and that we don't mess around. And this is Night Demon, and we're here to kick your fucking ass. While I was playing the chalice, I realized that the bass drum beater, the thing that hits the kick drum, was starting to break the head. So I'm starting to lose my main kick drum. So I lost my primary bass drum during the chalice.
So his bass drum head broke. So, of course, biggest show of our career, one of the most important shows of our career, and the worst thing ever that can happen happens.
We had set the setup so that we had X amount of time to finish all these songs. We maxed the set out.
And the other thing too is that, you know, the time, you know, your time that you have on stage is really strict. You know, there's no fucking around. You know, they'll cut you off if you go over a minute, you know, not even, you know, you're out of there. They'll turn your shit off and next band starts.
So the fact that the drums were starting to break, I was just thinking to myself, like, this is the worst case scenario.
Drink from the chalice, the unholy grail. Drink from the chalice, I'll give you everlasting life.
But so I didn't know this was happening, and Dustin just immediately stands up after the chalice, and he's freaking out. Then I start freaking out. I don't know if we got into a little argument or whatever. I remember just us yelling at each other on the stage. I don't think it was a bad thing. I think it was just kind of, we were like, let's figure this out, you know, now kind of thing. I went immediately behind the amps and started talking to the crew. And I'm just like, new bass drum now.
Luckily, we have crew in Europe when we're over there. Nicholas, our friend, was on stage, but he was filming, and he keeps an eye out kind of for other things. Our friend Joao from Portugal, who's toured with us a bunch, he is more of like a stage manager or somebody keeps track of all three of us, and he's got eyes on us the whole time. So I told him, I said, hey, get me another bass drum because this one's broken.
I realized what was going on. Dusty was fighting, like arguing with Jarvis. So some tension going on for sure. So what I did is I just ran backstage to talk to the backline guy. On the way, I saw this drum kit set up behind the stage, and I just grabbed the bass drum. I just took it.
And like, it came out in record time. It was amazing. And Armand just kind of knew to start Darkness, which was great because he could just play the picking pattern, I should say, on that A minor chord just forever, and then just play small variations off of it. And that was really cool because dead silence is something that all of the guys in this band hate.
And then the cool cat that Armand is, he decides to change the setup, but because of what was going on, he knew that he needed to bide time. So he goes to the intro of Darkness and totally resets the mood. And he's watching me, and he's noticing my progress as far as swapping out this bass drum.
All the while, I'm playing the intro to Darkness Remains. And then I just look at Jarvis, and he's just like, all right, fuck it. You want to start singing this thing? Because, you know, we only have so much time. So he starts singing it, and we're just trying to pretend like nothing's going on behind us, you know. Meanwhile, these guys are scrambling around like the fucking, you know, Three Stooges trying to, you know, cook a dinner or something, you know, like those classic, like, cartoons or something, you know. Craziest shit. Boom. He comes to the last part of The Darkness Remains. And we come in like clockwork, right on time. he got it changed out just in time to come in right when we needed him to. That's how we roll, and that's our boy Dusty. He will always be there in the right time, at the right place, and come in when we need him to. So I think you call that a Hail Mary. We did one of those that day. 80% of the crowd, I would say, were new people that have never heard us. So, you know, after a blistering set, kicking their asses with a bunch of songs they don't know, what's the best thing to do to just really take it over the top and just grab them by the balls and make sure they definitely never forget that fucking set? Play a song like Wasted Years.
How the fuck we doing today, Wacken? It's great to fucking see you guys today. Thank you guys so much. We're breaking fucking drums. We're breaking fucking amps. Nothing's gonna stop fucking Night Demon today, all right? One more here for you, Wacken. Let's hear those voices. You know what to do. Let's go.
That's like our ace in the hole. We always keep that thing on our back pockets. If we want to just, you know, we basically take it to 11 with that song.
So despite some technical issues and a near disaster, the set goes off amazingly well. Here's Marco Manderfeld.
Somewhere between Dusty breaking his drum set and an awesome show, the people in the tent got really excited about Night Demon's modern take on classic heavy metal and the dedication they put into the show. At least that was what we got as feedback from the people we talked to after the concert. Many familiar faces were there from previous Night Demon shows, but we also met many people who did not know the band when walking into the concert and who were absolutely blown away by their performance. For us, it was special. For the guys from our group actually thanked us for taking them there and insisting that they come along. So there's only one thing left, and that is to express hopes that we will get to see both of them again when this pandemic is over. Wacken and Night Demon, preferably together.
Really, I think it was such a proud moment for all of those Night Demon fans that have seen us all over Europe and have kind of grown up with us everybody goes to Wacken, everybody. So they all congregated there to see us. They made sure that they were there. It's easy for people to miss bands at these festivals because there's so many stages, there's so many bands, and there's so much booze. So people are always hungover or too fucked up, but everybody made it a priority to come see us, and it really showed. And growing up in a scene where there's almost a lot of shame from fans when a band becomes popular. And it's like a lot of fans like to have ownership over a band. Like, that's my band. I knew about them before, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, they're big now, or like, they have some lame fans, or they're too commercial or whatever. But, when you're in a band, I mean, obviously you want your career to progress. And if and when that does happen, it's natural to have some people who loved you become haters. This was not the case with the German audience. It just wasn't. I feel like, there were even some tears in the audience, to be honest. I mean, these people, they've been through everything with us. We've slept in their basements. We slept on their floors. They've fed us, literally. And I think at this moment, everybody was there for Night Demon that had been there the whole time. And they were just very proud of us. And they were proud of what we represented for the scene. And they were proud that we were up there representing them too. Like the band that played before us was god awful. Maybe that's not fair for me to say, but just because it wasn't my taste in music, but it was just had a bunch of backing tracks and this total manufactured cheesy sound. And, there's a lot of bands that are bigger than us that just, they don't have the street element that Night Demon does. They don't have the personal connection with the fans that Night Demon does. And I think to see us on a big stage like that at a big festival and still be us and be able to put all that energy out on a large stage and not be cramped and confined to a small stage in a bar, I think a lot of our fans were really looking forward to that. And the new people who had heard about us or maybe not have and just seen us for the first time got that vibe. And I had a guy tell me later on that night after the gig that, he had never even heard of the band before. And he was in the middle of the crowd somewhere. And he came in on like the second or third song. And it just captivated him, and he had to stay and watch. And then he said when people were singing the words all around him, he felt like an outsider. He felt that there was something cool happening that he didn't know about. And so it kind of made him feel uncool. So it's a total role reversal there, because all of our fans and friends out there are total underground people, but they're free thinkers. They make up their own minds, but they're outcasts just like us in a societal way, and big time outcasts of anything mainstream. So it was just cool. It wasn't like anybody wanted to have Night Demon as their little secret anymore. It was everybody's little secret together. It was our congregation. It was our group. We were like a fucking gang with our fans. And it was a crowning moment in the history of this band. And it's something that I'm always going to remember.
Yeah, the history speaks for itself. And if you're anybody in heavy metal, you want to go and play that festival. You want to showcase your band on that stage. And we were lucky enough to be able to do that. And it was one for the ages and something I'll never forget. Now we need to get on that big-ass stage and really rock the house. So I'm sure, hopefully that'll happen in the future.
So all in all, Wacken was a triumphant victory for Night Demon. And I'm really hoping that they ask us back to play. I think we're ready for the big stage. And I think 2022, summer of 2022, I feel confident that we're going to be on that stage.
So again, Night Demon overcomes obstacles and pulls out another great moment in the band's history. And one thing with the band that I noticed as we do these episodes is how they always seem to pull together and come through no matter what barriers pop up in front of them. Some people might call it luck or maybe cashing in good karma, but I think maybe it's more like just simple hard work. Night Demon is 3 guys, and they never stop grinding, and they never stop hammering away. And by doing that, I think they've created this momentum with their band and their music. And even when things fall in their path, Night Demon they seem unstoppable. And like the guys said, Wacken main stage, look out. So that's it for this episode. Be sure to check out the subscriber section for a full video of the Wacken set, streamable audio of the show, photo galleries, and more. That's all on nightdemon.net. Also, if you have any feedback, questions, or comments for me personally, nesbit@nightdemon.net, and that's Nesbit with 1 T. Until next week, this is Nesbit signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Unbearable suspense that keeps you on the edge of an abyss of terror.
Take a cult film odyssey into Cinemadness with Cinematic Void. Based in Los Angeles, Cinematic Void is a film series that specializes in horror and exploitation films. Currently, we are hosting Cinematic Void Up All Night in the Cinemadness movie, a monthly virtual screening series, as well as the Cinematic Void podcast, where we dive deeper into the world of cult cinema. You can find Cinematic Void on the World Wide Web at cinematicvoid.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you like what we do, you can support Cinematic Void by joining our Patreon. Until next time, see you in the void.